what we're working on here today is a 1951 Ford that we've chopped 5 inches from the front, 4 inches from the rear here. So we're modifying the glass, the trim, the stainless steel, everything is going to be modified to fit the car as it was original, so it still functions. We're not big on just one piece glass, we want it to be original style, but 5 inches shorter.
So this is the one that we did yesterday, and you can see that we've shortened the wind wing. The wind wing used to come up like this, so we've shortened the wind wing, and we shortened the glass, we shortened all of the framework, and this is all open now and ready to go. So what we've done is we've shortened up the wing window glass, so the wing window opens, closes, latches, and we've shortened up the window glass so it rolls up and down. We put the chrome back on, and that's it. We did the same thing to the rear glass. These are like wind wings on a 51 Ford, and of course the top is a lot shorter now than it used to be, so we did the same thing. We modified this frame, we cut the glass down, modified the rubber, and now that wind wing opens and closes just like it did in 1951. So what we're doing here is we're going to cut down the wind wing on a 51 Ford Coupe because we chopped the top and now the wing windows are too tall. So the first thing we're trying to do is get the glass out of the frame. We're trying to do this without prying on it because we don't want to break the glass, because we're too cheap to buy more glass. Oops, there it comes. There we go. So now what we've done is we've taken the glass out of the channel. And let's walk over to the car. So here we have the wind wing. And we've taken the wind wing out of here. Let's see, it fits in there some way. So we've taken the wind wing out of there, so of course that fits in there. And you see what goes on here is that the wing window is too tall for the door now. So what we've got to do is we've got to modify the frame, shorten this, modify this so that it follows the same contour, and then cut the glass to fit back in here. So what we've discovered is that the wind wing is attached to the window track by rivets. And there's a couple of rivets here at the bottom, and there's one here at the top, and they're hard to see, but what we're going to have to do is take this all apart. We got to get the rivets out of there so that we can take it apart so that we can modify it. So I'm going to get busy with the drill, and I'm going to drill out the rivets, grind the heads of these rivets off so that we can do that. Looking for another screwdriver. That's a good one. There, got that off of there. Okay, so the next order of business is to take the rubber very carefully out of here, because this particular rubber is not available for the 51 Ford. So we're going to have to reuse the rubber, so we got to be very careful with it. Ooh, too hard. Ooh, gently. Okay, now we have holes instead of rivets. So the next thing we're going to do, now that we've got this rubber taken loose, we need to change the shape of this. So we're going to just set that in there so that we know what the shape needs to be. And the first thing that I see is that this comes along and this is too steep. So we got to bend it down, and that's a real easy bend because I can just kind of put that down here. Just tighten the bend a little bit. This is a lot of fooling around. Oops, that's too far. don't want it that far. We'll straighten it back out a little bit. There we go. That's perfect. We're following the line of the door. Piece fits right here, and that's what the window hinges on. So we can't make our bend down here yet. We can't start our bend until we get above that. Otherwise we'll change the angle of this and then the wing window won't work. And the whole idea is to make the wing window work. So we're going to start our bend right there. And I'm going to take this over to the vise and clamp it in the vise and heat it up and see if I can get a nice bend. Okay, so these two screws are where that little bracket fits in, and so we don't want to bend it below that. So I'm going to clamp this in the vise, holding those two screws straight. And I'm not going to clamp it very tight because this is a pretty wimpy piece of tin here. But now I shouldn't be able to bend it in that way. You notice we're doing this with just absolute basic tools here. We don't have anything expensive. We just have basic hand tools and a vise, and we have a simple little 1995 Benzomatic torch. So what we're going to do is heat this up, cherry red. I just use the crescent. And we're going to start making our bend back here. Not for this piece. We're going to start making our bend. It's going to bend right where it's red hot. Get it cherry red here. Okay, we'll try that and we'll go test fit it. Okay, so we've heated it and bent it and created what we think is about the right arc. We've done this 3 or 4 times, 5 or 6. So this is going to fit inside, and I think we've got about the right arc. The rubber will take up a little bit of slack. This end we have to cut off yet, but we're not going to do it just yet. So this is the way it needs to be. So now we've got to start reinstalling this back onto the window track, which runs vertically here. So the next thing we got to do is take and attach this to this. So I ground the heads of the rivets off, and I'm just knocking the rivet out of here so that there's a hole. And there's what's left of the rivet. And we'll just put this back together with some small bolts. This way we can take it back apart again if we do it wrong. Now, we have to install this in the car, sort of, to see how it fits. We've set the window track back in, and we've lined it up with the screw holes down low, because we know that's where it's got to be. So now we're going to mark it at the top, so that we can cut it off at the proper height. We put one sheet metal screw in the top after we modified the top of this to bend over. I got one sheet metal screw in there. So now all we got to do is put the nuts on and tighten them up. Now we have the frame together and it fits in the car. So the next order of business is to modify the wind wing frame to make this bend. So the first thing we do is we give it a little more of a bend here, which we can do just by pushing on it, I think. Okay. Then we take it back over to the vise. Okay, so now what we've got to do is make this bend here to match the frame. So what we're going to do with that, we're going to use this little nap gas torch, a little cheater. We're going to get it cherry red, and then we'll bend it around. Okay, now we've started our bend. So we'll take it out of the vise and make sure that we started the bend in the proper place. So now we're installing the wing window frame into the frame. And I think that we've got it to fit here. It looks pretty good. Should be able to latch the window. Yep. window latches. So now all we've got to do is got to cut the stainless steel off so that it'll fit properly in the frame. Okay, let's see if it works. Works just fine. And now we're ready to cut the glass. So now I'll set the glass on top of here. Use my little Sharpie. Okay, what we have here is just a standard glass cutter you get at the hardware store. And automobile glass is safety glass. There's 2 layers of glass with plastic in between. And this one's kind of old, and you can see that the plastic is deformed and ugly, but we're going to use it anyway. So, what we do, we take our glass cutter and set it on our line. And we just etch the glass right across. And then we flip it over. That's why we have a dark towel, so we can see where our line is. And we make, hopefully, the same mark on the back side. Like so. And then, since we're on a towel and it's sort of soft, what I've found is that I can just take the heel of my hand and pop it just a little bit. I don't know if that popped. There we go. And so now we've got it so that it's loose. You can see that it wiggles a little bit. And so now what's holding the glass in is the plastic in between. So, to get rid of the plastic, I'm using carburetor cleaner here. You can use lighter fluid, which probably works better, and just heating it up a little bit with a match. And what that's going to do is it's going to melt that plastic and pull it right away. What we've discovered is that to make that nice round edge, the first thing we do is put tape on it. And the reason for the tape is so when we hit the edge with a grinder, it doesn't chip the edge all up. So we just put a little bit of masking tape on here. And just round it around. And I don't know what they call this little unit here, but it's just a bunch of layers of sandpaper all laminated together. And what we've discovered, there, Gary's bringing us a new one, that's what they're supposed to look like. This one's not quite as aggressive. And so what we've discovered is we can just set the window right on the edge there, plug your eyes. And when we take the tape off, we got a pretty decent edge there. And so what we'll do is we'll take some of that black window sealing compound and we'll squeeze it into the frame. We'll push the glass in there. We'll let it dry, and then we'll just take a razor blade and trim off everything that doesn't show. That works better. And the window closes, I think. We latch it. And there you have a wing window. I haven't installed the upper hinge yet, but we still need the black compound to put in here. And that's the way we do that.